Libra, welcome to your astrology reading for the month of April. And so before I get started, the way that this is structured, it is most applicable to your rising sign. So that's how other people perceive you, especially when they first meet you. It is still relevant for your sun sign and for your moon sign. So your sun sign is how you express yourself outward to other people. And then your moon sign is really how you internally process everything through that emotional lens. And so just kind of jumping into the energy for this month. So we have a lot of Aries energy, and then we move into a lot of Taurus energy. And so for you, the impact here is your 7th and 8th houses. So 7th house being those one-to-one relationships, contracts, negotiations. It's really the house of marriage, specifically first marriage, but really it can apply to all marriages in some way. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much, but from an 8th house perspective, so the connection here would be 8th house is death and rebirth. It can be intimacy issues, power and control issues, can be other people's money, including a spouse's money. So just kind of keep that in mind because there is a definite connection between these two houses. And I'll jump into the energy here just to talk about it more. So right away on April Fool's Day, we have Mercury stationing retrograde. And so when it stations retrograde, instead of communicating outward, it's going to be a lot of internal communication, processing information that way. And so this is going to happen at 6:14 in the evening, Eastern time. So if you're in a different time zone, just adjust for your time zone. But we've actually been in the pre-shadow. So the weeks leading up to this, so starting March 18th, we were in the pre-shadow. Stations retrograde on the 1st. It will go direct on the 25th, and then we'll be in this post-shadow. So kind of like that ramp up, that bell curve. We'll be on the other side of it in May. And so May 13th is when the shadow period ends for this. And so in the sign of Aries, we'll have Mercury, Chiron, and the Sun, and the North Node, which is going to be significant when it comes to the eclipse. And so, again, just kind of talking a little bit about Mercury in the sign of Aries. And so Aries is all about action. And Mercury is communication, but now everything is inward. And so Mercury will square Pluto in Aquarius. And so Pluto in Aquarius is all about breaking down barriers, what kind of restrictions are in place, what needs to change here. And sometimes that change can be uncomfortable. This is a square, so this is going to be one of those more challenging kind of situations where it's just creating some sort of obstacle to breaking down whatever barrier, whatever limiting behavior is holding you back. And so for you, this is going to impact your 7th house and your 5th house. So the action that you want to take, the internal action relates to a long-term relationship, most likely. And I say that because Pluto in Aquarius sits in your 5th house of short-term relationships. And so it seems a lot like there is this challenge to maybe take a short-term relationship, make it long-term, or maybe change your mindset around, okay, this is the way I need to behave if I want a long-term relationship with somebody. It's thinking along the lines of not expecting it to fail. When you start out a relationship and you kind of already in your mind have an expiration date, then that makes it a short-term relationship because you don't do that with marriage. Now, granted, there's a lot of divorce, but you don't go into it thinking that you're going to get divorced. And so that could be some of these things that are coming to the surface right now when Mercury stations retrograde. And so we'll also have Mercury conjunct Chiron in Aries. And so Chiron in Aries, Chiron is the wounded healer. In the sign of Aries, this is all about taking action. What wounds are coming to the surface? What action do you need to take? Again, this is all sitting in that house of one-to-one significant relationships. Again, could be contracts, negotiations, things like that, but this is coming across more relationships because of that 5th house connection. And so what wounds are coming to the surface for you? Are you afraid of opening up, being vulnerable to another person, really showing somebody else like who you really are, including those dark pieces? Because we all have them. It's just a matter of how comfortable do you feel exposing that side of yourself and really letting somebody in. And so these would be the type of wounds that are coming to the surface in order for you to take action on. And again, this would be internal kind of action, communication, because this is all happening right when Mercury stations retrograde. Then we'll have Venus enter the sign of Aries. So that's going to happen on the 5th at midnight. So exactly midnight. And so when that happens, Mercury, Chiron, Sun, and Venus will now all be in the sign of Aries. And Venus is all about relationships and harmony. This is actually the ruler of your sign. So we've got the ruler of your sign in a very action-oriented sign. Not the easiest of placements here, but it will be conjunct Neptune and Pisces. So Neptune and Pisces is all about your dreams. And what is it that you want here? What do you want to achieve? And so Neptune and Pisces is sitting in your 6th house of your daily routines, your daily life. And so what is your ideal daily life? Do you want to have somebody to come home to every single day? Because that is being highlighted here with that 7th house sitting in the sign of Aries, and with Venus energy really focused on relationships. And so there is a blending of the energies here. So it's really about, okay, what do I want? What kind of long-term relationship do I want here? What kind of commitment do I want with another person? Really taking things to that next level, that 7th house energy, making it a long-term marriage type of relationship. We'll also have Venus sextile Pluto in Aquarius. And so again, Pluto in Aquarius is sitting in your 5th house of short-term relationships. And so passions, hobbies, children, they're also part of this mix too. So it could even be that maybe you have children and that there is some friction between the type of relationship that you're looking for and maybe how that person is going to be with your children, or how do you, kind of bring everybody together and make kind of a modern family out of the whole situation. And so these things are coming to the surface here. It is a sextile, so there is an opportunity to break down any kind of barriers that might be holding you back from really establishing a long-term relationship here. Could even be taking a 5th house relationship and making it a 7th house relationship, where something maybe you initially saw as a short term, or maybe you just didn't give it much thought, and now you want to take it to that next level. You want to deepen the connection and make it something long term. So again, this is giving you an opportunity. And then we have the solar eclipse. So this is a new moon eclipse. It's going to be in the sign of Aries. And so it's a really interesting timing. So the eclipse itself is going to happen at 2:17 in the afternoon Eastern time. The new moon is exact at 2:21 Eastern time in the afternoon. So 4-minute difference. And so when this happens, we'll have the sun and the moon. They're at the same degree point in the sky. We'll also have Mercury is retrograde, Chiron, and Venus are all sitting here in this Aries energy. But the sun, the moon, and Chiron are actually all at the same degree point, which means that energy is blended together. And so when you think about Chiron, again, that wounded, those old wounds coming to the surface, this is going to impact your 7th house of one-to-one relationships, that marriage type of relationship. And so this is really shedding light and giving you this opportunity to really understand what that wound is. Why is it coming to the surface? What do you need to do about it? How do you need to heal from it? What triggered it? And how do you heal from that? And so there's a lot of energy coming up related to these wounds. And these wounds could indicate maybe you had a failed marriage already. And that's something that you don't want to repeat because it was a really painful experience. That would be the type of wound. Or it could be that maybe you've never really witnessed a healthy long-term relationship. Maybe you had parents that divorced. And so this would be some sort of unhealthy kind of trigger that's coming to the surface, some sort of wound that needs to be addressed. We'll also have the moon conjunct Mercury in retrograde. So again, really thinking, because Mercury is a thinking, it's all about processing information. And so really thinking about what actions do you need to take in order to heal this energy. It is conjunct to the moon, so the moon is emotional. So it's really thinking about how do you emotionally process, handle all of this, heal from it, because that moon energy really wants you to heal. We'll also have Mercury square Pluto in Aquarius. And again, so when it comes to this 7th house, 5th house, and this kind of friction between the two, what is coming to the surface? What in connection to your wounds? Are you afraid of letting somebody get close to your children? Do you want children or do you not want children? Because that could be part of this as well. Maybe you're afraid of having children for whatever reason. And this could be something that's coming to the surface. And so there is this opportunity during this eclipse. It is a fated event. So there is something about this entire situation where it's not just kind of, because this is fated, so it's not like you're going to have a lot of options here. I mean, you're going to see the wounds. They're going to come to the surface. You're going to recognize them. There's going to be no way around it. But as far as this square energy, and so you can move through these obstacles and challenges related to maybe children, maybe passions, hobbies, things like that, or the short-term relationship that you want to make a long-term relationship. You can work through it. It just does require you to take action here. I'm just trying to think about like any other possible scenario, because it's really coming down to What is it that you truly want when it comes to that one-to-one relationship, that marriage type of commitment with another person? And what's holding you back? Because that's what's really being highlighted here. And again, you have the opportunity to really do something about it, but it's a square, so it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to be challenging, but you can do it. And then we'll have the sun enter the sign of Taurus. So that's going to happen on the 19th at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. And so when that happens, we'll have Sun, Jupiter, and Uranus all in the sign of Taurus. We'll have the sun conjunct Chiron. So the sun sitting in the sign of Taurus. So Taurus is about harmony. It's about what you value. Venus is the ruler of Taurus. It's also the ruler of your sign. And so what it's doing here is it's really shedding light on how do you create this kind of harmony in your life? How do you really bring to the surface what it is that you value? And how does that relate to the wounds coming to the surface? Because there's this wound has been holding you back from maybe having the type of relationship that you want, or just that level of intimacy that you're looking for with another person. This wound is coming to the surface, and you're getting a real opportunity here to be able to kind of ground it in reality, because again, Chiron is sitting in your 7th house of one-to-one relationships, but with Taurus, we are sitting in your 8th house of transformation. So this could be intimacy issues, this could be power and control issues, any kind of issues coming to the surface as they relate to those type of topics. It could even be money related. Maybe you make a lot of money and you're worried about the spouse or potential partner not making enough, or not being able to provide for you in a way, because there is also a connection to debt and other people's money, and really spouse's money as well within this 8th house energy. And so this is really shedding some light on just holistically how you view relationships and what it is that you want from them. And then we'll also have the sun square Pluto in Aquarius. And so this transformation that you want to make, this 8th house transformation, how does that connect to that 5th house? Children, passions, short-term relationships, hobbies, all of those types of things. And so what is it that you want here? What barriers related to those passions, hobbies, children, short-term relationships, what needs to be broken down? What needs to be deconstructed in order for you to have what you're looking for, in order for you to be able to transform and have that really significant love relationship that you're looking for? And then on the 20th, we'll have Jupiter conjunct Uranus. And so again, this is all going to be in the sign of Taurus. And that is going to happen at 10:27 p.m. Eastern time, because now you can see we've moved into a lot of Taurus energy. And so Jupiter conjunct Uranus. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, growth. It is a very lucky planet. It's the most benefic planet that we have. And then Uranus is all about change, sudden change. And so for you, this is all sitting in your 8th house of transformation. So this is that death and rebirth. This is really bringing those like power and control issues, any kind of struggles that you might have from an intimacy standpoint. This is all coming to the surface. The 8th house is one of the death houses within astrology. And so not in a negative way, because it's about transformation. It is about birthing something new, being done with something old. And so it's really more of the same type of energy that you're going through. What is holding you back? What barriers need to come down? What structures need to change? What belief system needs to change? What's preventing you from growing in the areas that you want to grow? And for you, it's coming down to that significant type of relationship, that one-to-one relationship. Then we'll have the full moon in Scorpio. So that's going to happen on the 23rd at 7:49 in the evening Eastern time. And so when this happens, we'll have the moon and the sun. They're at opposite points in the sky. And so what this really means is that there is some sort of push-pull. This could indicate, I'm getting something with darkness here. There's something that's hidden that's going to come to light during this full moon, because that's what it does. And so the moon is in the sign of Scorpio. The sun is in the sign of Taurus. Moon in Scorpio is your emotions, but Scorpio is transformation. It is death and rebirth. It is all those 8th house themes embodied within that Scorpio zodiac sign. And so for you, where this is hitting you is Scorpio is in your 2nd house. Taurus is in your 8th house. So there's a real money connection, value. What do you value here? That's 2nd house energy. So really feeling about what matters the most to you, and then what kind of transformation needs to take place, because this is a very transformational type of full moon with you specifically, with the transformation sitting in both the moon and the sun. And so really thinking about, what is your relationship with money? Maybe other people's money. So maybe it's an inheritance, maybe it's debt, maybe it's spouse's income, Could be something along those lines, or it could just be really the transformation that you want to make to align with what you value here. And that, again, emotionally value. And then we'll have the moon is also going to be in a square with Pluto and Aquarius. So really more of the same energy. It's about breaking down those barriers. What's preventing you from transforming the way that you want to. And then we'll have Mercury station direct in the sign of Aries. So that's going to happen on the 25th at 8:54 in the morning Eastern time. And so we'll have the post shadow until May 13th. So it's going to start dissipating in its strength. And so all of that inward processing of information and maybe talking to yourself, like that internal communication, now it's going to start becoming more outward facing. And so what happens here is Mercury will be conjunct Venus in the sign of Aries when it stations direct. And so again, Venus in Aries, it's all about what actions do you want to take as they relate to the relationships that you want? And now is it that you want to talk about this type of relationship? Do you want to have conversation with somebody? Because now Mercury is stationing direct. Mercury is the planet of communication. And so really thinking about for you specifically in this significant relationship, in this marriage type of relationship, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to highlight here? Is there something that you want to discuss related to maybe anything that's happened earlier in the month related to your wounds or what's prevented you? Or is it having a conversation around the barriers that you are breaking down, the things that you are working through, the way that you are trying to heal from prior intimacy issues? And then on the 29th, we'll have Venus enter the sign of Taurus. And so Venus is the ruler of Taurus as well as your sign. And so when this happens, we'll have Venus, Sun, Uranus, and Jupiter all in the sign of Taurus. And Venus will be in a conjunction with the Sun. And so again, what this is really doing, because this is all sitting in your 8th house of transformation, so this is meant to really give you another way to kind of heal through whatever is coming to light when it comes to any kind of intimacy issues. Again, power and control, could be other people's money, things like that. So really, Venus wants to bring things together. It wants to create some sort of harmony here and really focus on what you value. So it is this transformational type of energy. So just kind of keep that in mind. We'll also have Venus conjunct Chiron in Aries. And so again, when it comes to what do you want, and this is a lot of trying to establish that type of long-term relationship that you're looking for, one that is healed. You're coming from a place that's emotionally healed, and that's what you're trying to do, and that's what this energy is all about for you during this entire month. It's really giving you the opportunity to see what your wounds are specifically, giving you plenty of opportunities to break down any barriers to healing those type of wounds and really stepping into your full potential here with another person. During this whole Venus enter Taurus, we'll also have the Venus and Sun in a square with Pluto and Aquarius. And again, so what this is also doing still is you want this transformation to take place, but what kind of barriers exist? Maybe it's a mental barrier, maybe it's something within you that just needs to change and say, I can't go into all these relationships thinking that they have an expiration date. That could be the type of energy here, or it could be some sort of barrier. You know what? I'm only going to date someone who's going to be good with my children, or something along those lines, or some sort of barrier that wants to be removed, a square, so it's going to feel uncomfortable doing it. So just keep that in mind. And then on the 30th at 11:33 in the morning, we'll have Mars enter the sign of Aries. And so Mars is the ruler of Aries. So that's a lot of action. That's a lot of not sitting still, because Mars does not sit still. It is the god of war. And what's going to happen here is Mars will right away conjunct Neptune in Pisces. And so Mars in Aries is sitting in your 7th house. So what kind of actions do you want to take when it comes to this type of relationship, or this, significant relationship that you want? Neptune in Pisces, what is your daily life? What is your dream daily life? Is it to come home to the same person every single day? Is it to wake up next to the same person every single day? Because that's what's being highlighted here. That's what you're giving an opportunity, is to take action in order to have that come to fruition. We'll also have Mars sextile the moon. The moon is going to be in the sign of Aquarius. It's also going to sextile Pluto in Aquarius. And so now it's sextile. It's not a challenge. This is just an opportunity, a lot easier to handle than that challenging type of aspect. And so Mars with these two placements here, with these two aspects, the action that you want to take when it comes to your relationships, anything that is coming to the surface on any kind of barriers that you want to remove, including an emotional barrier, that's what's being highlighted here. That's what you have this opportunity to change, that way of thinking, that way of feeling about relationships. And then we'll also have Mars sextile Jupiter in the sign of Taurus. And so again, we're looking at your 7th house, 8th house energy. So we're looking at this long-term relationship, the action that you want to take to have the type of long-term relationship that you want. Jupiter and Taurus with the transformation that you want to take place. This would be that growth opportunity for you in order to have the type of relationship that you want. Again, this is a sextile, so this is an opportunity. You would have to take advantage of it. It's not something that's just going to naturally happen on its own. So Libra, this is your reading. I hope it resonates. If it did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.